In 1904, Teddy Roosevelt was re-elected for his second term as President of the United States. And Carl F. Statz was born in Martinsville, Wisconsin. Horses were being replaced by steam engines, and a new era of mechanical farm machinery was just beginning. Raised on the family farm, Carl F. Statz was a visionary, deciding to open his own International Harvester tractor and farm equipment dealership to serve the farm families across southern Wisconsin. Carl did so with great risk. As America was in the grip of the Great Depression, farmers knew they could count on Carl when they needed help.
Obviously, it was way before my time when he started the business, but yeah, I mean, it was a pretty large business down in downtown Waunakee, and the story goes back that when he first started, it was pretty tough. 1930 was a pretty hard time around here. He would actually trade chickens and whatever else they had for equipment just to try to, make people get what they needed. So he would just basically meet people when they'd get up and start milking at 6 a.m. He'd be at their place and he would say, "What can we help you with? And what can you got something you can trade me for this equipment?" And that's kind of how he started out and earning people's trust.
Carl was one man steeped in family values and dedicated his life to helping farm families succeed. Family and farming was Carl's focus on life. As Carl's sons grew up, it didn't take long for them to get involved in the business.
One thing with Grandpa Carl, he actually was lucky because he had 3 sons, Ronnie, the oldest, Kenny, and Dave, and they kind of took over the business when he was in his probably 50s. Ronnie was the oldest of all the family. He was the oldest boy. Carly actually had a farm out by Sauk City. So Ronnie was driving tractor at 10 years old already. When he didn't drive tractor or work on the farm, then they started in business already. I imagine he probably started working here when he was in his teens, or I don't know what he really did his first few years, but he was the oldest son, so he had the most experience, but he was in sales, and he became a very good salesman. Ronnie did.
My dad was Ken, and he was integral in the sales part of everything here. He took care of, back in the day, they had international trucks and stuff, and he was kind of the lead in that, and he kind of brought the Polaris stuff on board here too, but when it first started. And he was just a guy that would, do the same things my grandpa would be, just, make sure people got what they needed and do whatever was needed to get the job done. He always wanted to talk to people, no matter who they were. If he knew them or if he didn't know them, he wanted to talk and have a story to tell. Well, my dad was really big into the fire department. He served, 30 some years, and he actually worked his way up to be the chief for quite a few years. And I always said that was his second business because he loved that just as much as this place. And he was pretty proud of what they did and how they built that department.
My dad was always in the parts. He always managed the parts department, did all the orders, and made sure everything came in and went out as it should. They called him Hunts. I have no idea where he got that nickname. He got that years ago as a kid.
Well, when I was little, we were located down on Main Street in Waunakee, and my first memories are being a pretty young kid, just kind of running around down there, sweeping floors.
Grandpa Carl and, of course, my dad, they'd have us down there working, we were 8, 9, 10 years old, sweeping floors, picking up trash, pulling weeds. I remember doing that, going all over, because we had different spots, different areas of town where we had across the street, and then we had different buildings. But yeah, they kept us, after school, we would go out there.
One of the stories I could tell about my grandpa is he loved to come out in the shop and sweep the floors. People would come up and ask Carly, "What are you doing?" And he'd always reply back as, "If only I would have saved my money when I was young, I wouldn't have to be pushing this broom," he would go. And he would get a big chuckle and laugh about it.
Grandpa, yeah, he was quite a grandpa. Very nice to the grandkids. Plaint's story was pretty neat. We were probably all, there was a few older cousins and me, and then there was a few younger ones. But all of a sudden one day he said, "You guys, next week," he said, "I'll be ready to come out to my house. We're going to the airport. We're going on a plane ride." He goes, "I rented a plane, and we're going to Chicago, and we're going to stay there a little bit and come all the way back to Madison for use of, for people who have never flown. And most of us have never flown before. So that's just the type of guy he was. He would go to Fort Myers Beach in the winter, and he would have my brother and I down. We were down there when we were in high school. We actually were able to take a few friends, and he took us deep sea fishing. So that was it. He even put us up in one of the cottages right on the beach. And I remember them. They were on stilts and stuff. So yeah, I was able to bring a friend, and my brother was able to bring a friend. So he would do that type of stuff,
Just a family-owned business. It's been for 92 years, and we like to treat people like family when they walk in here. When you walk in our doors here at Karl F. Statz, you can buy something from us, but we're going to stand behind it service-wise. You can't do that at a big box store. If you have a product and you're having some issues with it, we're going to take care of it. When I first started here, when I graduated college, we were really big into the farm equipment. My dad and Ron and Dave realized that we weren't just going to make it with farm equipment, so we expanded lawn and garden and in the Polaris stuff too. And that's kind of the thing that we kind of grew, knowing that we needed to be a little bit more diversified.
We really didn't have any of the Polaris stuff pretty much back then. I mean, we started some of the snowmobiles back in the 70s. We started branching out, and they kind of knew that we had to, with the Waunakee as far as growing, we need to branch out in the consumer part of it. So that's when we started adding vendors, the Toro, and we did have Cub Cadet at that time, but we started adding more and more Polaris when they started to build their off-road stuff. So it got bigger and bigger. Unfortunately, Grandpa wasn't able to see the addition, but I'm sure he would have liked it. He wasn't real fond on the snowmobiles at all when Kenny and Ronnie kind of wanted to take that part on, but it just needed to be done because there was a lot more people that wanted to get involved in recreation. So that's kind of how it evolved, and of course over the last 10-15 years since all of us have taken over that, it's grown and grown. I mean, it's basically probably well over half our business nowadays.
Starting with the lawn and garden department, we've been a Cub Cadet dealer since Cub Cadet started. I think it's almost 60 years we've represented their brand, and we've actually represented Toro just about as long. And those two companies, they make outstanding products, and we don't want to carry anything that's not quality, and those two are very quality driven. And then we've added Husqvarna since then. It's kind of a newer company for us, but they're very, very good company also. And then on the Polaris side, back in 1970, we started with Polaris, snowmobiles only. That was all they had. And then in the middle 80s, the ATVs got brought on board by them, and that's been just a huge part of the business is the ATV industry and UTVs, and there's a lot of uses, obviously farm uses, but also recreation. The GEM product is a fairly new product for Polaris. It's an electric vehicle, front-wheel drive electric vehicle that has uses in industrial, schools, sports teams. There's a lot of uses, but they're based all electric vehicles. At some applications, all you can use is electric, and that's what they're for.
Our parts and service department is still very important today. We rely on servicing everything that we sell, plus other brands that we didn't sell, but people rely on us to service them.
Anybody can sell something, but it's the parts and service that sell the next sale. There's a lot of people that unfortunately buy maybe somewhere else, but they tend to bring it here to get it fixed.
We really try to take care of our surrounding area, and that's kind of what we pride ourselves on.
Even though we kind of moved out of town, we're still really important, I think, in the town of Waunakee. So everybody still knows who we are. We're all local. We were all born and raised here. So I think that's kind of important too.
What we meant to Waunakee is we've been here for a long time. That means a little bit, but if certain organizations need some help with fundraising or door prizes or whatever it is, we're always willing to help. We really are involved with the Waunakee schools. I feel it's important that the kids are well taken care of, and we try to support as many programs as we can.
A lot of the different organizations need money. So, on something like that, but we're fairly generous that we've been doing that for years. And, you have your legions, you have your fairs, you have even the surrounding areas kind of count on you because a lot of our customers come from that. So you kind of want to give back that way.
Well, with the FFA, obviously that's a critical part of our business is to represent them, and the kids coming up are obviously what our future is, so we need to make sure that they're taken care of, and we try to support them as best we can. For the future here, I think we're always looking to be better and look at different ways we can help people and serve this community.
I think as far as growing, hopefully you're going to grow some of that business, and then your ag end of it, as long as the prices stay pretty good.
But I think we're just going to keep going the way we have been going, and I think what we're doing is pretty good, and we're going to look for opportunities if they arise.
We want to keep our people happy, our customers happy, and that's one of the important things nowadays. We might sell the product, but to sell the next one, you got to be able to keep the people happy on that part of it.